and let's say for a misdemeanor, and you go to the person's door and you knock on their door to conduct a good old-fashioned knock and talk, and they answer the door, and while they're talking to you, they decide to close the door on you. They're done with the conversation. They're frustrated, they're pissed, whatever. Does that give you permission to actually go arrest that person? Can you then body snatch them out of their home and arrest them for the misdemeanor that you already have the probable cause for, and hopefully maybe you're looking for cooperation? Can you do that? The answer is no, but it happens all around this country. I'm not saying it happens on a daily basis, but guys, it happens. Cops are doing this, but cops have to stop pulling people out of their homes and calling it obstruction, or let's say they're in a public place and so forth. Let's address why I'm bringing this up. This case is from Iowa State Supreme Court. The case is State versus Wilson, and it's number 20-0371, decided on January 14th, 2022. And when I read the case, I knew, obviously, the Constitution was going on here, but I've been training cops to not do this for almost a decade. Let me briefly give you some facts, okay? Officers in Ames, Iowa, go to a home to investigate a noise complaint. Okay, fine. That's a misdemeanor, ordinance violation, no big deal, standard fare. They go to the home, they knock on the door, the occupant answers the door. While having a conversation with the police officers, allegedly, the homeowner or the occupant got frustrated and tried to simply close the door. And talked about, do you have a warrant and all this other stuff. And the officer put his hand on the door to prevent it closing and put his foot in the threshold to prevent the door from being closed. That's violation number one. There is no exigency here. There is no urgency. There's no fire. There's no gun play. There's no domestic issue. This is simply a person who was violating a noise complaint, and they can shut the door on police and no longer consent to having that knock and talk. Then the cops enter the home to arrest her for the noise complaint. That's violation number two, right? The noise complaint is not a felony committed in your presence. Even, by the way, even if it was a felony, strictly speaking, you still need some form of exigency. So the court here, in this case, this Wilson case, decided against the officers. And, this is a criminal case. This is not a civil rights violation. But quite frankly, we'll see if it comes to that. But the law and according to the court, in my view, across the country, is fairly well established. There's always outliers out there. There's some courts that have said that when a person opens the door, they present themselves potentially for an arrest. But the vast majority of courts are going to say the opposite. And they're going to talk about a case called Santana, where, in the Supreme Court, the court found that a person was standing in the threshold of the doorway and police had probable cause for a felony drug sales. They came up to the house. They said, hey, you're under arrest. And Santana retreats into the home and they chased her. Not only was that a felony, number one. Number two, she was in her door frame. Okay, they call it threshold. So 1 foot out, you're on the patio, 1 foot in, you're in the vestibule of the home. And number three, there was exigency in that case because they knew that she had evidence on her person. She could destroy that evidence before getting a warrant. So that's a completely different case than here we have the noise complaint. So I hope that this is an opportunity for everyone, watching this to remind themselves that, hey, don't fall for contempt of cop, right? Remember the rules of the road. If you want to go to somebody's house and conduct a knock and talk, good for you. That's a great way. If you can convince them to come out of their home and you have probable cause to arrest, great. The rules are in your favor. However, if they start getting lippy with you or they want to just be left alone and they want to shut that door on you, you are not going to be able to chalk that door unless you have some form of exigency, emergency, urgency. If you don't have that, let them shut the door. Go back, to the station house or your car or whatever, you can go pull some paper, go get an arrest warrant, and that's how you handle the situations. All right? We got to stop doing this stuff. It's costing cops a lot of money. It's costing agencies a lot of taxpayer money to fight these things when they should have been avoided in the first place. And my last thing before you leave is please keep up the questions. Don't forget I do webinars every single week. We have plenty of free stuff out there to get you trained and so forth. All right? So use these resources from Blue to Gold, and we're here for you.